Tonight we are going to be talking about several different things in the nerd news. I mean, this is kind of it's almost like the week before a major event with Endgame coming out next week. It almost seems like all the nerd news has been sucked out to death because everyone's talking Endgame. So, but yeah, tonight we're going to be talking about Netflix and their audacity that they're trying to pull. And we're also going to be talking about the PlayStation 5 that's going to be coming out. Looks really interesting. We got some minor details on that. From there, we're going to be talking about a couple trailers that dropped this week. The Boys, Amazon original, and then the new Chucky trailer. I wanted to bring that in just because that does have the nerd to it with good old Mark Hamill doing the voice for it. And if we got some time, we'll be talking about a couple other things as well. And we'll start off with a little bit of Malice Smack Talk news and John Cena, I guess, maybe, huh? Whoa. Cena. Whoa. We're taking over.
His name is John
We're
Cena.
taking over.
So we're going live here, guys. This is the show. Welcome, and let's get things moving. Welcome, all you geek and nerd aficionados. Masonic Vader here for the oh wow, there you go, jitters, Nerdcast, all nerd newscast. I am your host, Masonic Vader, taking over for Mest 151, who is unfortunately on assignment somewhere in Irvine, trying to turn himself purple at some boysenberry thing. He's trying to see if boysenberries are the human Smurf pill. I am your host tonight, Masonic Vader. We've got a couple guys joining us tonight. We've got Nick, or Raider, formerly known as Nick. Raider, how you doing?
It's going pretty well. Looking forward to Sunday. Sunday, Game of Thrones, episode 2. Looking forward to that.
Sunday, episode 2.
Sunday.
And then right there, you've got Mind Freak. Now, Mind Freak, this is his first night on the Nerd Podcast show. He is brought over from one of our other casts, Malice Smack Talk, over with me. How you doing tonight, sir?
Doing pretty good, and I'm trying to contain myself because, with how long we've been doing Malice Smack Talk, just seeing you trying to cross over here, it's going to be pretty fun and pretty interesting. But I'm happy to be here. Let's have some fun.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be an interesting cast, guys. But let's get this show started. But let's just take a second and talk about what you guys have been geeking out on. Raider, what have you been geeking out on this week?
Take a wild guess.
Football.
No, Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
I watched. We all know season 8, episode 1, premiered last Sunday. I watched it that night, and then I immediately proceeded to watch it again, about 30 minutes to an hour after it had aired. Just because I wanted to make sure I was getting everything, and I'm such a Game of Thrones nerd. Enjoyed it. I already have my theories. I know that. Didn't we have a Game of Thrones podcast like after the fact?
I was about to tell you, man, a good segue here is that if you guys ever want to see some really good follow-up, go to malice-corp.com and check out our podcast. In fact, we do have a Game of Thrones podcast that happens immediately after the West Coast showing because we don't want to jump in and mess it up for the West Coast. So it's at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Twitch. And you can look at, man, that was a phenomenal cast last week. I mean, Mind Freak, don't you agree? You were watching it. That was an awesome cast, wasn't it?
I wasn't watching it. I was on it. It was amazing.
Yeah, no, but it is an awesome cast.
It was.
Yeah, and we were talking about it. We threw some theories out there. But going back to Malice Corp, definitely check out the other podcasts we have, even like the all news nerd thing, cast from before, Malice Smack Talk. and some are ones from last year. But absolutely, yeah, you're right. 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Twitch, Malice Corp, Game of Thrones review.
Yeah, and that's what I've been nerding out on. I've been thinking about it all week as far as what's going to happen next. Kind of have everything in my head as far as how everything's going to play out. So, yeah.
And I gotta give props to Bearded Master. Bearded Master is going right now on the MCU trip. He's getting ready for Endgame next week. And so he's been going through each of the, I don't know where he's at right now, but I know he's definitely, I think he's halfway through the roster. So that's what Bearded Master is. Tell us what you guys are geeking out. You're watching this right now. Type in the chat room what you're geeking out about. My Freak, what are you geeking out about?
So I know it was last week, and I know you talked a little bit about the cast from last week, but this happened the very next day. I've been geeking out over Star Wars Fallen Order, the new single player Star Wars game coming out, being developed by Respawn. Still being produced by EA, but throw EA out of it. No, Respawn, one of the things I've been geeking out about it is because, it's going back to like a really good, true single player game. That Star Wars base. We haven't had a good one of those in a long, long time.
Yes, agreed.
And the fact that you get a company like Respawn doing it, and I'm a huge fan of Respawn. I mean, I got the Titanfall pilot helmet sitting next to me. If you never played it, Titanfall, fantastic game. Their single player, the campaign story through that was amazing. And then the way that they kind of tied the lore and all that stuff. But with where this game is being based on of, and like kind of the synopsis of the story, it's going to be fantastic. If you haven't checked out the trailer, check it out.
Awesome, yeah. And I've been geeking out. Like I mentioned, I bought World War II. And it's been awesome going online and playing Call of Duty again has been fun. They got away from those stupid jump pack games and stuff. Thank God.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I hate about Call of Duty is because essentially, and just kind of little background story. Respawn actually used to be part of Activision. It was either Infinity Ward or Treyarch, one of the main groups. And they actually went to them with the idea of Titanfall in Call of Duty. They said no. They left, created Respawn, created Titanfall, did all the jump packs and all that stuff. Then Call of Duty kind of ripped on it and told it to them, just saying. But yes, going back to the old World War kind of stuff too. That's very fun game.
Yeah,
that's one of the things I do like about Call of Duty. Like the multiplayer online, it's pretty fun, but the storytelling and their single player campaigns are always been fun.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get on to this nerd news. Hey, so the first thing we're going to start off with, and I guess it's because this is Malice Smack Talk taking over for tonight. There was a nice little thing that came out 2 days ago. Apparently, John Cena of WWE wrestling fame, and of course, a lot of you know him from seeing him in most recent movie Bumblebee, is actually going to be, or they're in talks to try to get him on the James Gunn Suicide Squad 2 movie. John Cena obviously has been pushing away from the wrestling scene for the last 5 years and been getting into TV and movies, and he's had a pretty good successful run. Raider, your thoughts on John Cena possibly being in Suicide Squad?
Hey, I like it. I think John Cena is a very likable guy. He has that aura about him that's similar to The Rock when he came on the scene. Every movie he's been in that I've seen, I've really enjoyed, and I really think that he's going to knock this role out of the park. Like I couldn't think of a better person to add to that the Suicide Squad than John Cena.
Yeah, there's a couple that right now they're thinking that he's going to be the Peacemaker, which actually would make a really good. I think that'd be a good cast. However, there is another one that's interesting to me is Polka Dot Man. So that once again is another interesting scenario because a lot of times when you see Cena in his roles, they're always like a good guy or I don't want to say Captain America, but that's kind of like what kind of Cena is and everything. And to see him in do an alternative like in Bumblebee, where he was a little bit of a bad guy in that situation for a hot minute. It's good to see him kind of branching away from Mind Freak. What's your thoughts on it?
So it's like, like I said, with any movie that he's been in, it's always been that, good guy or kind of comedy, that kind of thing. I mean, even, looking back, at his career in WWE, most of the time he's always been a face because that is the kind of crowd that John Cena can bring around. The times in WWE that he's done the heel side has been interesting and kind of awesome to watch, even, we talked about it, Dr. Thugonomics kind of thing, that like heelish kind of thing. So with how, not necessarily like dark, but how like the way Suicide Squads are set up, with it, being the villains, being the bad guys. So for him to kind of make that switch going from comedy and like the main action, like hero kind of guy, to playing more of that villainous bad guy kind of role, it should be pretty easy for him.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. John Cena brings a lot of character to any of his roles that he does.
If you can see him in the role.
Oh.
I had to put one in there. I had to get one in there.
We had probably like 5 viewers that probably just dropped to 2 now at this point. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
You said that about the Wednesday show, and we didn't lose anybody.
Full sack, buddy.
No.
I mean, it's really hard to knock on him,
It is.
I think both of you can agree is that he just has that it factor, that aura about him, to where it really doesn't matter to me what kind of role he's doing. I think he can do it well and still get a positive or get lots of positive feedback from the audience.
And he's very talented too, because what people don't realize is that if you're not a WWE fan or wrestling fan, you don't realize that John Cena actually has gold records out there. He had 2 records go out early in his career, and they actually went they sold really well. I almost want to say one of them possibly went platinum or something. So he's gone into the music genre and had a couple CDs go out. He's gone now into the movies, and of course he has his wrestling. I mean, this guy's
and not forget his children's book too.
Oh, and he's a writer as well. That's correct.
Yeah,
and
so he kind of has a little bit of everything into it.
Yeah, I think last week he actually hosted the Ellen show for Ellen, I guess, one week. I didn't get to see it, but I think I saw like clips of it or something. So the guy's out there in full force. So to see him on Suicide Squad would make up, as everyone knows, Will Smith is not going to be coming back, but they brought in Idris Elba and now possibly John Cena. That makes up for it, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
But then not only that, you had the brilliant mind of James Gunn behind it, writing it and directing it kind of thing too. It's going to be spectacular.
Thank God, man. I'm glad they were able to get him back, because I just did not want to get him doing it, but then also to get him back to James Gunn was almost going to go down a pathway to where it was going to be switched off to one side and cut from his other. I'm so happy that the industry has been able to allow him to do this, Suicide Squad, and then to go back to Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which is awesome. All things right in the world, and I'm very excited to see his adaptation of Suicide Squad. So moving on to our next topic, as we're flowing through pretty quick here. Netflix. Netflix has been in the news a lot lately. We talked about well, gosh, I don't know what time, every other week practically with these guys, from canceling all the Marvel shows that they had about to raise their rates and everything. They had a nice little article that came out this week that Netflix is out there going out and pushing for their shows to win Emmys. And I can't think of what they called it, but there's this like a venue or event or something that they go and they push all their television shows to win whatever kind of Emmys. 13 of their shows they're pushing have all been canceled. And most recently has been the San Clarita Diet, which was supposed to be signed on for season 4, but apparently they've decided to cancel that as well. I read into the article a little bit, and I'm sure you guys did too. Let's start off with you, Mind Freak, this time. What do you think is in Netflix mind? Like, what do you think they're trying to pull here?
So, with that, with the canceling of the the Marvel shows and stuff like that, that's understandable for what Disney's doing with their streaming service and all that kind of stuff. So that was kind of to be expected. But at the same time, with the monster that is Netflix, with so many different original shows that they have. They're a powerhouse, but at the same time, reading into that article a little bit, most of the stuff that got canceled, there's only with the exception of House of Cards, most of those shows were only like 3 or 4 seasons long. And that's kind of what I've noticed with a lot of the Netflix originals that they made themselves. They just want to have like 30 episodes to tell a story, and that's be about it. So I'm not sure if that's just them trying to contain themselves so they're able to do more shows, versus having like 2 or 3 with extended long series.
Yeah, you're right. In the article, they did say that Netflix has a tendency to cancel shows after 3 seasons or 30 episodes. That's the 2 things there, excluding some of their originals, like their very popular ones like Orange is the New Black, House of Cards, whatnot. And Santa Clarita Diet, that just sounded that like they said, they just signed it for season 4. Or at least that's what everyone thought they did. And then they just pulled the carpet out from underneath them. Yeah, Raiders thoughts. What's your thoughts on Netflix direction? Or I almost want to call it audacity at this point. These guys are getting all these shows, and then they're trying to get these Emmys, and then they're canceling them at the same time.
I think it's a money issue. One, being a money issue, and 2, I think there's something really big that they have on the horizon because they know they're going to have to compete with Disney. I think they're planning something big.
Mm-hmm.
Something that's hush-hush right now. Obviously, none of us are going to know about it, but that's just my hunch, is that all this was done to save money. All these shows, like Drew Barrymore is not chump change. Timothy Olyphant is not chump change. Keeping those guys on for additional seasons is going to cost them a pretty penny, as well as those Marvel shows. So all those Marvel shows being canceled, plus the Santa Clarita Diet, it leads me to believe that they're having a little bit of money issues, but at the same time, I'm thinking that they're trying to get all that money for something bigger, that something huge is going to come out.
Well, now my pushback on that is that if it was a money issue, why are they talking about doubling their rates almost? I mean, it looks like they're getting money, and they're trying to cut that money to even make more money. I mean,
that's exactly why they're raising their rates, is because they want the extra money to do whatever they had planned.
And Beer Master makes a good point in the chat. Essentially, it's a 2-part thing. It's what's on their minds is that no matter what they put out or cancel, we're still paying to watch it, and also too, they can get out new series without having to pay larger salaries to top actors and actresses, or finding properties to shoot those locations at.
Okay, I could see that as well. Yeah, it's interesting where Netflix is at and everything. I would like to see. I don't know. To me personally, it just looks like it's almost like they're losing. To me, they're losing kind of some kind of a connection with the fan base or anything. And these other companies, like for example, Disney's going to swoop up a lot of them because of their original content, Marvel and whatnot. You have Hulu out there who has the live stream, and they're keeping their rates low as well. And then they're going to be going up money wise. I mean, it's interesting to see where Netflix will take things. Hopefully they will be able to pump out a bunch of new original shows, but Amazon Prime, as we're going to be talking about a little bit as well, is getting their skin in there as well. So there's a lot of competition for the internet television or online television that they're that it is now, so yeah. So anything, if you guys are watching this live, obviously Bearded Master, thank you for joining us. As we've already mentioned, please, put your comments in the Twitch channel. If you're listening to us on any of the other outlets or whatnot, Stitcher or whatnot, please, if you could try to join us on Twitch, it'd be awesome. For worst case, definitely put some comments in there so we could try to get back to you on that, and tell us what your thoughts are on Netflix and what their future looks like, winning Emmys but not keeping those shows. There you go. So moving on to other and other things. Other and other things is a new thing I want to tell you. The PS5, PlayStation. Let's switch to some gaming here. There's actually a couple topics we could talk about on gaming, but let's start off with first the PS5. It has been, 5 years since PS4 came out, or longer.
About 4 years, isn't it? 4
Yeah.
or 5 years.
Yeah, so about 4 years.
Yeah.
And they just put out a little thing out here a couple days ago that Sony is in development of getting PlayStation 5 up and running. No talk about when the date is or anything yet, but there is a lot of talk about what's going to be in it.
Yeah,
You got
so
some thoughts on that, my freak. Go for
yeah,
it.
so to kind of go along with the date was something that they announced at E3 last year. They said it could be within the next 3 years that the PS5's release. So we are getting a lot closer to that. But yeah, I just wanted to give that little tidbit about that time frame that they're looking at.
Yeah, so some of the things we're talking about with the PS5 is that the PS5 is going to be obviously upgraded, and they put a lot more upgrade into the sound of the system itself. Now, I'll be perfectly frank. I've been playing PlayStation since they've been out since day one, but I am the last guy that's going to tell you anything tech or company-wise or gigabytes or whatever the hell it is. All I know is reading through this article, they put a lot more effort into the sound part of the PS5. They've also made it more user-friendly than others before. Like a lot of the components, for example, the virtual reality, which they're still trying to push, is going to be compatible. The headset from the PS4s will be compatible for the PS5. There's going to be a lot of high-tech third generation. Let's see, the CPU has been based on the third generation Ryzen. It's an AMD chip. Let's see here. The PS4. No, we're going to. I want to find that sound part because they put a lot into that and everything. I just found it really interesting that they are making it to where a lot of things are going to be converted over, so you won't lose some of your PS4 information or stuff. Like I said, the VR. However, the price tag that they're initially throwing out there, no joke, is hitting the $500 marker, $500,000 now for your gaming station.
Wasn't that what it was when it came out with the PlayStation 4? Wasn't it?
Same thing with the
Around
Xbox One.
I remember the PlayStation being like $399 all the time, and the only ones that were up there over $399 or whatever were the special edition, like when they came out with the Star Wars one or something like that. But other than that, the standard
or a terabyte.
Yeah. Or if you had, I mean, because I do want to say that the PlayStation 4 was the first one of the consoles that actually gave you the ability to have so many megabytes or a terabyte. You had an option to buy a bigger RAM or something. And then on top of that, you could buy an external hard drive so you don't have to kill yours. But I always remember it being the average price of $399 unless you did a special price. But $500, man, that stuff's got to be gold.
Yeah, from what I remember when it first came out, like PlayStation 4 and even PlayStation 3 when it first came out, I remember it being higher in price, something to around that price tag that you just mentioned. And it's just something that we kind of forget because immediately after that, they kind of lower the prices.
Yeah, the first initial kind of like surge of, I need to be the first one to have it, keep it up with the Joneses, right?
Yeah, that's what I recall, is that they were higher at first and then they went down in price.
My freak, you know you're gaming because you're every night on Twitch practically. What did you think about reading that article, man?
So reading the article, the biggest things that stood out to me were this. One, it's going to be preloaded with a bunch of stuff to where it can go up to 8K resolution, which right now, we have 4K TVs that haven't pushed that far, but Sony's setting themselves up to have their system already compatible with that. Which is huge because, looking back, when the PS4 and like the Xbox One first came out, they were just regular 1080. 1080, they didn't have the 4K resolution, then 4K TVs became big, then they re-released it in the form of the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. So right there, they're setting themselves up. The other thing too is one of the biggest complaints that I've heard for a lot, from a lot of different people outside, that are also PS4 players, stuff like that, is there's not a lot of backwards compatibility as far as like disc-wise goes. So that's one of the biggest things that the PS5 is also going to have, is be able to do that backwards compatibility with the previous PlayStations, not just the 4, but going back to 3 as well. Maybe possibly 2 if I read it correctly. So,
Man, I'm glad I held on to my wrestling games. Yeah,
right. All those old games from back in the day, growing up, stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
that's a lot. That's a gigantic gaming library.
I've owned every single generation of PlayStation, so that would be pretty cool. I still think I have most of my games from PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3, and even PlayStation.
Yeah, same here. Because I recently just got back into the PS4 because I'm mostly an Xbox guy. I made the switch back PS2, Xbox. Just kind of stayed with Xbox. But I have like a lot of my favorite PS2 game. Like the old Final Fantasies from PS1, Kingdom Hearts, and then some of the newer generation of Final Fantasies like 10, 10-2, 12, which I know are all getting remastered or have already been remastered, and get a lot more releases out on them. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. It's going to be an exciting console, but again, when you're in the terms of the console wars, Xbox says that they're working on something as well, but we'll get into that when they have more to come with that.
So yeah, something else I saw that caught my eye on this article was the fact that, like you were talking about, they put a comment here about shared architecture between the PS4 and the PS5. Some of them being some of the games and everything. There's a game that they're going to have that's being developed for it. Is called Death Stranding, which is being developed by the guy who created Metal Gear, Hideo Kojima. Metal Gear is one of my favorite games of all time. I love the Metal Gear Solid with PlayStation 3. The whole sneaking around, snapping guys' necks, throwing them in lockers, hiding them and stuff. That was some serious gaming right there. I loved it a lot.
And when you think of like pinnacle games for each console, like the Metal Gear series, that was like a pinnacle thing for PlayStation. Same thing with some of the Final Fantasies, like early on in the early days. So, just to see them continuing that and, and working on the new project and stuff like that. Metal Gear is one of my favorite series too, as far as like single player fun. It's a blast to play. So that new game that they're especially designing for the PS5 just sounds amazing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I think I'll do the same thing I do every year though. I'm gonna keep my PS4 for like a year after the fact I can't do $500, man. That's hard for me to swallow for a game. That's a house payment almost, man.
Yeah, yeah, it is. But also at the same time, I'm the same way with some of my consoles. I'll wait like a year or 6 months because usually, those first ones that come out, there's some bugs, so then they revamp it and bring out, hey, here's the newer one. It's like more slim or like a different color or something like that, and doesn't have as many problems at initial launch.
Yeah, well,
good point.
Yeah, Nick, Raider, what's your console choice, sir?
I've been playing the PlayStation console since '97. I think '97 is when PlayStation came out.
Somewhere around there.
I think it was '97. So yeah, I'm a PlayStation guy. I've been playing every single generation of PlayStation, and I'm gonna do what y'all are doing and wait a year or so before I get it because my wife would kill me if I spent $500 on a game system. She already complains enough as it is from time to time that I play too many video games. So getting another system on top of that when she's like, I just got you a PlayStation 4 a couple years ago or however many years ago that was. And she's like, and now you want another game system?
You better go Office Space on that thing on the outside, man. Grab a sledgehammer, go to work.
But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited, but I'm also at the same time, I'm a little old school. Like I still have an iPhone 5S. I'm not a big guy in like changes. Like, yeah, I know. I see your face. You look pretty perplexed.
Wow, dude.
I don't like changing things. It's like if it's not broken, I don't fix it. I think the PS4 is great the way it is, but I do know that PlayStation 5 is going to be better, and eventually I'm going to jump on board with it. But it's hard for me to change. I just wish that there would be something that came out to where this is what it's going to be for the next 10 years. It's like it's not going to get better than this.
Hey, can you show me your flip phone while you're at it too, dude? Can I see that really quick?
I did have a flip phone when I was in high school.
Oh man,
then,
I might still have it in my desk back here.
Nice. I ain't gonna lie, I still have my flip phone somewhere in my closet. It's only because it's got a bunch of phones on it, pictures on it. So, oh man, welcome to BX Virus in the chat room, by the way. Something else to go on really quick while we're still while we're on video games and whatnot. I saw another article, or I saw an article this week that I wanted to share that I found very interesting, and it's about GameStop. So GameStop has been one of the bigger companies to roll with when it comes out with some of the major games. Now, for people who don't know, I mean, obviously everyone knows who GameStop is, but they've really implanted themselves into the whole kind of like geek and nerd thing. I mean, like, for example, they own the website thinkgeek.com, and they interact with that a lot and stuff. So they've really done a good job of implanting themselves, not only for just gaming, but nerds in general. And one of the things they've done awesome with is whenever a new game comes out, boy, they pre-sell the hell out of it. They set it up to where you get it the day before, and there's a line outside, and yada yada yada. And GameStop has made a killing with it. However, recently there's been some games that have come out where they've had this process, and there's been a lot of fan backlash. I'll throw one out there to begin with. Fallout 76 was sold as going to be an online interact with people. You're not going to lose the play of Fallout like they had in Fallout 4. And yeah, man, that complete platform has gone just horrible, and they're having a hard time recovering. And so now in situations with GameStop, a lot of these people will buy these games. They're going to get upset and frustrated like they have with Fallout 76, and they're going to start losing some of their customers because of games now being produced, or at least that one was crap. So I found this article starting up here pretty soon. Now they're going to start it out with one game. GameStop is going to be giving customers a 48-hour preview for their games. So that means you could buy a game, try it out for 48 hours, and if you don't like it, you can return it and get a full refund in the form of a store credit. So in other words, they're still going to get your money, but you can turn the game back in and get something else instead. It's not starting as a main rollout just for everything. They're going to test ride it with a game that's going to be coming out pretty soon for PlayStation 4 called Days Gone. And they're going to roll it out and see how it works with that with that game, and then work from there. I wanted to chime on this one on first, only because I'm one of those guys who are very upset with the Fallout 76. I didn't get into Fallouts, the other Fallouts beforehand. The last one, Fallout 4, is the one I first jumped into, and I swear, as someone who's worked in the retail store, as Mind Freak is, there were several hours I spent on my PlayStation playing Fallout when customers just started showing up. It's an awesome game, and I was very disappointed about Fallout 76. It didn't really bring a lot of extra. It made it actually more difficult. The interaction with players is just not lived up to its the hype. And yeah, if I had the ability to return it in 48 hours, I would have did so. Raider, what you're the console man, Sony PlayStation. Do you think this is a good idea for GameStop to try out?
I think it's a brilliant idea to be able to do that, and only do it with particular games. I mean, it's going to customer satisfaction is going to go through the roof, because they're going to realize that, hey, on these big games that you never know if you're going to like a game until you play it. So they're going to realize I usually know within 48 hours, 24 hours, the first time I play it, I know if I'm going to like a game. So I think it's good for the customer base, and being able to continue to get someone's business, knowing that if they get a game and it completely sucks, they can take it back. The only thing that I'm looking at is those games that are taken back. They're going to resell them for half price. I mean, used games that have been opened up are not necessarily something that I'm going to spend $40, $49 on, because when a new game comes out, they're about $59. If it's only been owned for 48 hours, that means they're going to be reselling it for maybe $10 less. That would be the only part that would kind of make me a little iffy, because I think that's a heck of a deal. But to be able to get a used game for half price, but within 48 hours, they're probably just going to knock off like $10. And I don't trust anybody using the game and scratching it up. I have this philosophy that I'm the only person in the world that can handle a game without scratching it. I don't trust anybody else.
Oh, no, see, I've bought from GameStop, and I have bought some of their used games. I bought the Deadpool game, used and everything, and the game works just fine. The one thing I have learned from GameStop over the years is that whenever they do take games back, they do check them and go through a rigorous process. That's the reason why sometimes when you get when you turn in some of your older games, you get like $3 for it. They'll look at it and be like, "Oh, we can't sell that," and throw it away. They don't care; it's $3, you know. But they have their resale on used games. To me, I haven't had a problem with any of them yet. And you're right. If they do return within 48 hours, it's gonna be an open product, which means they'll have to sell it. And then probably, I don't even think it'll be. I think it'll be $5 less, depending on the game and the popularity. Mind Freak, what do you think, sir?
So yeah, no, it's a great move. It's a great idea, and it's going back to them trying to pull those customers that they have lost over the years. Not in the sense of like, oh, you know, a game came out, it was terrible, now we're kind of stuck with it, and we're only going to get like so much money back for it. But in the sense of nowadays, with how digitalized gaming libraries are on both PlayStation and Xbox, you know, it's that, you know, hey, I can pre-order a game from the comfort of my own home and download it instead of having to drive somewhere, wait in line, pick it up, drive it back. And then nowadays with some of these games, have to download it first before you can even play it. Because there are some games like that. So it's definitely a way to kind of bring people back to, hey, you know, we're doing this thing, we're doing it with a trial. The only problem that I can kind of foresee with it is this, with the whole buy-back program is, yeah, you know, is like Raider said, you know, it's, oh yeah, I tried it after 48 hours, I hated it, I'm bringing it back. Okay, well then if I'm trying to buy a pre-owned game and it's only $10 cheaper, I mean, yeah, $10 is $10, but I mean, the whole concept of GameStop is, yeah, we have new games, but they really try to push, you know, with the rewards programs, with the PowerPoints and all that stuff, to be able to get some of these used games, get multiple used games for like the price of one kind of thing, to kind of just, you know, keep the gaming atmosphere going and what you love to kind of do and play. So with that being said, I mean, if that's something, it in a sense of, you know, with the disc, it is kind of a game changer. Because I know, because, you know, recently too, within like the last couple of years, I couldn't even say on this, but I know Best Buy started being like, hey, you know, you can trade your games in, getting credit for Best Buy to buy towards a new game. So when you're thinking of like stuff that sells video games, you know, like in stores, you're either going to go to like Best Buy or go to GameStop. But then also at the same time too, with GameStop, with, you know, like you said, Cam, with them being with ThinkGeek and doing all this stuff, a lot of these video game companies, you can still get like the exclusives. Like, oh yeah, you know, like I'll use this one for example. Borderlands 3, the collector's edition, it's only available through GameStop. You can't get it anywhere else. You know, but think back to a couple years ago. There's another game that came out, like, if you pre-order at Best Buy, you can get like the Best Buy pre-order bonus. If you pre-order at GameStop, you can get like the GameStop pre-order bonus on Target, Walmart, etc. They've kind of just gone away with that, and to where now it's just like very rarely do you get like an opportunity to get something cool with an in-game thing, because now with how big microtransactions stuffs are, you can just buy it all if you wanted to. So with them, it's a smart move. With them rolling it out with, you know, select games, I could see, you know, a problem with it. Like it could work really well or it could work really bad. And the way I say it could work really bad is if a game comes out and it's amazing, well, nobody's going to want to bring that game back, you know. Most recently, you know, with that new game, Sekiro, that like essentially the samurai version of Dark Souls. I've read people like they played it for like 3 hours, like I hate this, it's too hard, but they can take it back and you get like less what you paid for it.
I think this is a smart move from GameStop only because of the simple fact that it's going to be similar to what a lot of the stores like say Target and everything else price match. Because, you know, one thing we haven't talked about yet is the fact that Amazon is still the big competitor. Like right now, all these stores are competing with Amazon. They have to have something over Amazon. Hence the reason why stores like Target, Walmart, whatnot, they did their price match guarantee, and they will price match only to Amazon. In fact, I did that this week and got me a Call of Duty World War II for $20. Yes. But then, yeah, this is something unique. This is the only company I know of so far that gives you this period of time, this 48 hours. And like I said, they're going to roll that with the one to start off with. I think if it's successful as they think it is, I think they're going to probably roll it out to every type of brand new purchase of a video game to give them 48 hours. Now, granted, thank God they didn't do this when games just came out, because I do remember, man, there was a point I'd buy a video game and I would go nonstop and beat that thing within 2-3 days, and then I would just be going back and playing it all over again, trying to find all the small things. But yeah, these bigger games, these online games, you can't beat them within 48 hours. So at least you can try them out, and if you like it, bam, it's out of it. You keep it. If not, you go exchange it. And GameStop's not losing any money; they still get your money. They're going to make more money off you regardless, because that $70 you spent on that game is going right back in a store credit. And you're going to have to buy something from there anyways. And then someone's going to pick up your used game and get $45 off it that they can't return because it's used. So it's quite genius. So
it is, but there's ways to kind of cheat that system too. Like say, hey, yeah, you're getting $70 of store credit back. Okay, well, can I just get like a $70 Xbox card or a PlayStation card and just go put it and download something on your Xbox?
Yeah, true. Very true. So, I'm excited to see what happens with it. I'm hoping it's a positive project that works. Hey, so we got a couple more things to talk about tonight, and they're both trailers that came out. Let's start with The Boys. It's an Amazon original series. They did a trailer, I think, 2 months ago as a teaser and kind of showed some things and everything. This was the first full-blown. Now, if you haven't seen it yet, please take a second to go check it out after the show. We won't give away too much, but Amazon Prime is starting to come with some thunder here. They have some good original shows. They had Jack Ryan earlier. They have another one called Hannah that I've gotten like 4 episodes in, and it looks pretty solid. Now they have this – go ahead.
I was going to say, and even going back a little bit further, Man in the High Castle too.
Yeah, absolutely. They have a lot of originals, and this one is, the trailer looks freaking incredible. To give you a premise of what it's about, it's about superheroes in a sense. Not anyone we know. These are just random superheroes that they created in its own series. But they put it like in a real life spinoff, kind of like how we talked about how Batman is now. Batman's more realistic and not jokey and campy like my dad's days were and stuff. These superheroes are a group, and from what I've seen on it, it looks like if I had superpowers, maybe some of the stuff I'd do. What are your reactions, guys? Raider, what was your reaction to seeing the Boys trailer?
It's unique, but at the same time, I can't even think of the movie off the top of my head here.
Watchmen?
Or it was one where the kids had, like, I think it was like teenagers as well that had superpowers, and one of them like caused like a car to like crash.
Not the Covenant, but it was kind of. I know what you're talking about. Was it kind of the style like Cloverfield, where they had their own video camera kind of thing?
Yeah, I think so. And like
the Revenant.
One of
the
them
Revenant. It was either the Revenant or the Remnant. It was
one of them used like telepathy or something like that to cause a car like to swerve off the road and crash. Yeah. So it's kind of been done before, but I really do like that take of that realistic approach to people that have superpowers, as opposed to kind of doing marveling it up, should I say. And getting your little one-liners and everything like that, but just adding some more depth, some more like these people are real people with real problems, that they're just like us, but happen to have superpowers.
Now, for people who are going to see this, if you haven't seen it yet, the first thing I'm going to tell you is that this is not your kids' type of movie. This is our show. There is definitely some language, and there is definitely some other stuff in there as well. One of the there's an adult theme series to watch. Okay, so this I'm doing a Ryan Reynolds Deadpool thing here. Do not let your kids watch this, and if you do let your kids watch this, they at least better understand stuff. Mind Freak, what were your thoughts on it?
So without revealing, it's kind of hard to like spoil. I don't, try not to spoil, that. But from what I got from it, it's kind of, it follows the superheroes. It's that adult theme, but it's like, hey, we're superheroes. Yeah, we're going to save the city, but we'll do whatever we want after that kind of thing. So in the sense of the way I got it, it's like policing the superheroes in a sense, kind of thing. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Our producer, Jack Mouse, who's in the chat room, he threw it out there as the gritty superheroes are real people too, is starting to get old. He's starting to agree with you. It's like it's starting to be redone and everything. He also mentions, at least to me, it was the fresh take, but it's starting to be the new norm where people are trying to redo the wheel, I guess. The only thing I could say about this, though, is that I haven't seen outside of Deadpool, and Deadpool was originally written that way. When people watch a Deadpool movie, you've read their comic books, and if you haven't, you were shocked. If you had read the comic books, you were like, hell yeah, this is exactly what we wanted to see. Everything outside of Deadpool that I could think of, comic book wise, has always had the restraints to it. So that you wanted it to be, a comic book. You wanted it to be something different, but it wouldn't never go too far. Like, we saw Superman kill somebody for the first time in Man of Steel. Okay. Or, Batman, talk about how his knees are going old and stuff like that. That's about as far as they get with it. You don't see any type of, sex or outrageous violence, like decapitation or stuff like that. Like I said, outside of Deadpool, this one has it all. You need to watch this this trailer to really get what I'm trying to say. I mean, there's ultra violence, there's sex, but it's got a dark comedy spin to it as well. There's one thought that there's this one scene I just keep seeing on my head. It's like, hell yeah,
yeah. I know what part you're talking about too.
Yeah. So you got these superheroes that are just going around doing their thing with these powers. They're trying to be normal people, and they're obviously not normal people. So that's what I really find interesting with this trailer. At least I'm looking forward to seeing this, because I think Watchmen tried to go somewhere with that. And in fact, let me say that Watchmen did have some death and some sex scenes and everything and stuff like that. These guys are kind of like taking it to another level. It's like mixing Watchmen with Deadpool. I like that. So it looks awesome, and I'm excited to see it. It's coming out, I believe, in July. Yeah, that's right. July 24th, if I'm not mistaken. And Jack Mell's bringing up another good point. There are now novels, comics, TV, and now becoming more flawed heroes and real problems. I guess what Jack is ultimately saying here is that it's no longer 1960s Batman or 1980s Superman. This is the guy down the street that gets superhero powers and doesn't know how to use them and messes things up. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing there. So, any other thoughts on that, guys?
Nope. Just kind of waiting to see what's coming out next.
Yeah. Hey, welcome to Peteopolis in the chat room there. And you are right. Killing Joke wasn't your regular animated Batman cartoon either. That was a good one as well.
Yeah,
absolutely. Last trailer. They just dropped a trailer. Now this one has a little bit of the nerd to it as well. I don't think I can recall ever seeing a horror flick on the all nerd newscast. But Chucky is being revamped, and the trailer dropped this week. Really cool spinoff from the old Chucky. The old Chucky was a possessed doll from a serial killer. This new one is going to be based off of electronics taking over, like a computer unit or something, like a virus in a sense, taking over electronic things. What made this really cool to me is the fact that Mark Hamill, our friend Mark Hamill, aka Luke Skywalker, aka Joker, aka anything cool voiced, he is actually doing the voice of Chucky. So, what did you guys think of the trailer for Chucky? What were your thoughts? My free.
It looks awesome. Yeah, so, going back with, the other ones, with I like how they're kind of like revamping it and kind of having that fresh concept with it, kind of bringing it into like the modern times. So in the sense of, instead of, something possessing the doll, it's more electronic, something more nowadays. But with the premise of it, it has the horror factor, has that violence factor in it, and then to Beer Master's point, then in the trailer you kind of hear it laugh, but you just hear a little bit of it before it cuts there. And to this point, they should have extended that just a little bit with him talking, so you can kind of get that full effect of hearing Hamill doing Chucky, rather than the small, little, very tiny tidbit of it.
You know what? I agree and I disagree, only because I think that's what everyone wanted to see or hear him doing more than just a little bit. They want to hear his take on it. And I think it's a smart move, because if you hear so much, it's like what we always talk about with these other trailers. If they show too much or if they do too much, you lose interest in it. And in his situation, because of the type of voice work he's done, I think they did it for a reason, so it doesn't get compared to any of the other voice work he has done, because everyone thinks of him when he does voice work as the Joker. I mean, that's been his main thing. He's done others, but it's definitely the Joker he's known most for when doing voice work. So I'm happy they didn't do a lot of it, because, God, man, I can almost hear the Joker without actually hearing Chucky yet. So, I mean, that's why I'm glad they did a little bit of that. Raider, what did you think, bud?
Well, I watched it without sound, so I didn't get to see that part. But from what I did pick up on, it looks, as far as like the cinematography. Well, granted, the last Chucky, the first Chucky came out was like in the 80s, and then since then they've just kind of regurgitated a bunch of crap like Bride of Chucky and stuff like that. I mean, they're entertaining, but they're by no means like oh my gosh, this is good. But it actually looks like there's like the cinematography of it. It looks like it's going to be pretty dang good from what I saw. It seems like it's just more real than the others. It doesn't look like it's going to be as corny as some of the other Chucky movies have been. And I was just able to pick that up without noise, just by kind of looking at. I know that sounds kind of shallow, but I could kind of tell just by watching the clip.
Yeah, now something I noticed in the clip, and I don't know if this is something that's going to happen a lot or whatever, but there was one thing in particular I saw is when Chucky was holding the knife or walking with the knife. Now, in the original movies, he's running around with this knife, right? Now, he's a stuffed doll. It's not like he has superhuman strength. He's a stuffed doll that gets possessed. And in the original movies, he's running around with a butcher's knife. Now, butcher's knives are not extremely heavy, but for a stuffed doll, probably is. And some of the stuff I saw in there was like a scene where he was walking with the butcher knife, but the butcher knife was being dragged on the floor with the tip. So it was almost too heavy for him to carry around. Those are the small things I noticed about the movie itself, and it intrigued me even more. I'm not a big fan of horror flicks. I go and see occasional of them. I mean, I grew up watching Jason, Freddy, and all this stuff, and they were campy, cheesy, and you most of the time watch it because you're going to see girls' boobs. But other than that, horror flicks never really were my genre, and I just haven't gone into or watched it. I actually do want to see this movie for the Mark Hamill effect, but also for those small things I did see. I want to see if they can make this a realistic, okay, he's a stuffed doll. How's he going to be carrying around a chainsaw, And seeing him dragging a butcher knife rather than carrying it and going around wielding like that nonstop, I think that shows me that they're actually looked into the small things of the movie and try to make it as realistic as you can make it, and also using the tech as the virus or as the ghost taking it over. It looks like it's just not the Chucky doll itself. It's a lot of things that are technology that are involved with technology that'll be in the process as well. Did you see that as well, Mind Freak?
Yeah, I did. I noticed that with like how it was like kind of interacting with everything and all that kind of stuff too. So I know it's not like linked or anything, but the first thing I saw, you kind of just had a flashback like, oh, technology's taking over. Skynet. Like,
and I was corrected. He was a plastic doll, not a stuffed doll. Thank you, IC Zorro. However, if he's plastic, he's more likely hollow and less likely to carry the butcher knife. So kudos to them dragging the butcher knife again. Was there anything else you saw in the trailer that you liked that you're looking forward to seeing out of this movie itself?
Audrey Plaza.
Yeah. There you go. Simple as that. It's cool. I'm looking forward to it. And now, as this cast is getting close to the end, we do have to say that next week is going to be crazy because I don't know how anyone's going to do a nerd podcast and not be able to talk about Avengers. Man, that's next week, guys. Avengers Endgame is next week. Who's got their tickets? Nick, no tickets? Raider, come on, man.
No, I think I've said this before. I'm not as gung ho about Marvel movies as most of the people on this cast. There's so many of them, kind of overwhelms me.
It was great to have Raider on the show. You might see him in a couple months. He might get his nerd card revoked after tonight. We might bring it back to him later, though. I don't know, but Bearded Master's got his tickets.
I still think they're entertaining. It's just that when it gets to a certain point, it's just like, gosh, so many of them.
Oh, man. Hey, now, Bearded Master, you got to tell us, are you doing the midnight showing? Bearded Master is going to see you at 10:30, so he's not going to have to do the midnight show. Good job, sir. Well, that is our cast for tonight. We appreciate you guys watching the show. I know next week Mess will be back. Like I said, he's out there trying out the Boysenberry Festival at Knott's Berry Farm, so hopefully he won't come back looking purple. And then we'll be back for full you know what's funny? I should have thought Oompa Loompa, but I thought about the girl who ate who chewed the gum and ate all the purple stuff, and then ended up.
That was Violet.
Yes, Violet, exactly.
Violet, you're turning violet.
Oh, well, we thank you guys so much for taking the B squad tonight. The B host, at least, not squad.
B team.
Oh my god. And there you go. That's that wrestling smack talk coming over. All right. Hey, so other than where you could see following Malice-Corp on the screen there and all the different casts, Mind Freak, tell our fans where you could, our watchers and listeners, where they could follow you.
You guys can follow me on Twitter at MindFreakMLG. You can also follow me right here on Twitch at twitch.tv/BTBMindFreak. Talking everything from wrestling, gaming, pop culture, all that kind of stuff. And also on Xbox and PlayStation Network, Mindfreak, MINDFREDK.
And it looks like with your swords and back, you give great haircuts too, huh, buddy?
I do, buddy. I do.
Yeah. Raider, where can we follow you? Nick, wherever we're going to call you. Hopefully Raider will stick. That'll be fun.
Raider0314, PlayStation Network and Twitter.
And nothing associated to Marvel.
Nothing associated to Marvel, no. But are we doing hashtags?
Oh, you know what? Yeah. Do you have a hashtag of the night, sir?
I'm thinking about, because I've been thinking about this for a little bit, because most superhero movies, I'm not saying I hate superhero movies, but most of them have funny moments, comedic moments. What is your favorite or hashtag favorite comedy moment in a superhero film? I know that's long. Mine, Deadpool jumping out of the plane scene when they all die, or almost everybody dies. hands down for me, the funniest, most laugh out loud moment I've ever had in a superhero movie.
Raider, I've got a single tear right now because I can no longer be the only person getting crapped on for not being able to create a hashtag. Thank you, sir. It's much appreciated.
Yeah.
Love it.
But that's I think it's a decent hashtag. Think of something funny from a superhero movie. That might be better than that. I don't think anything is, but
Hashtag funny superhero moment.
yeah.
You see,
Hashtag funny superhero movie.
okay, that did not come off the tip of your tongue like it did off of his, man. You're in my game right now. We have to work on
Not
it.
necessarily, because according to Beard and Master, Raider here has done more thinking about a hashtag this week than you have in a whole year. So,
Well, that's great. He's been thinking about it, but at the same time, his production of it is as equal quality as mine. So, in other words, it's in the dumper right now. So,
yeah, I mean, he came up with one, even though it was longer. I mean, I think a little bit quicker than you did on the Game of Thrones cast.
you can follow me at Masonic Vader and Masonic Vader 71 on PlayStation Network. Of course, like I tell everybody, all these casts over my shoulder, please check them all out. You can check them out at Malice-Corp. You can see all the back casts from the last 2.5 years, 3 years now with Malice Corp. You can even find us, the Smack Talk one on there as well, the newer one of them. You can also follow us on Stitcher and iTunes, anywhere you can listen to podcasts, anywhere you can watch podcasts, YouTube. Check out Malice-Corp. It is a phenomenal group. We're doing great. Like us, share us, put comments in there. If you are a Amazon Prime member and you're watching this right now, you also have Twitch Prime, which means you can like this cast right now, and that would help us out to be able to create, well, at least come up with backgrounds, because right now we're all using our bedrooms as a background or something, and it's pretty bad. Yeah, so we need some background money. So if you wouldn't mind liking us, we'd be grateful and have higher quality backgrounds. Let's start there. Yeah, thank you guys.